One of my happiest childhood memories is of Harvest Festival. I remember as a little boy going to church on Harvest Festival and struggling up the aisle with my precious tin of baked beans and handing it over to the vicar. I remember the next year my dad gave me a little basket full of his prized tomatoes, and much to my embarrassment of my parents, when I got to the top of the aisle I was very reluctant to hand that over to the vicar. Thank you very much. We plough the fields and scatter the good seed on the land, but it's fed and watered by God's almighty hand. I don't know how many times I've sung that hymn either in school assemblies or at church or at harvest festivals, and the sadness is that this year singing is the one thing that we can't do, and actually we can't have harvest festivals either. It's a real sadness and a frustration. We've had a wonderful summer and it seems a bumper harvest too, but this autumn's really uncertain. It looks as if we may have another wave of the virus coming and things are looking a little bit bleak. The agriculture bill is going through Parliament and we don't know what the end result will be and how that's going to shape the life of the countryside, not for the next year, but for the next 10, 20 years. We still have unresolved our relationship with the European community. These are all uncertainties in a world that is increasingly uncertain and turbulent. And yet God invites us to trust Him. Trust Him for His provision. There's much in Scripture which talks about lean years and full years. And just as the squirrels are busy secreting their nuts away to get them through the winter, so also we need to be storing in our own hearts treasures that are going to see us through this winter time, so that in our hearts, when difficult times come, in the middle of the winter when it does feel a bit bleak and dark, we can be reassured by God's light and by His guidance. I don't know about you, but I've been fascinating looking at David Attenborough's various programmes on the television the last few weeks. And as always, it's been a huge wake-up call when you see our oceans clogged with plastic, when we hear about the destruction of the Amazon basin and all those hundreds and hundreds of acres of trees that have been felled by logging companies, the destruction of good arable land, the poisoning of our rivers and the destruction of the ecosystem. All these things are really disturbing. Now, some of the things in climate change, it may be that they're part of nature's own cycles which we don't fully understand. But I'm pretty certain that the vast majority of the things are our responsibility as human beings. There are things that we do and things that we can stop doing which can make an appreciable change. And so this harvest is a real wake-up time for us all. We plough the fields and scatter the good seed on the land, but it's fed and watered by God's almighty hand. Well, farmers, it's a long time since they broadcast seed on the soil. And indeed, ploughing is something that arable farmers are doing less, or at least doing it in a different way, because what they prefer nowadays doing is precision drilling. One of the things that science has taught us is that this topsoil here has got various layers, and it's really important to respect that and work with nature, not against it, because in that lies the fertility of the soil. So by doing precision drilling, the harvest can be even more abundant and it can be ecologically sensitive. So there's lots of things that we can learn with and from science. So this month is a time for celebration. It's a time to give thanks. Thanks to God for the abundance of His provision. Thanks to God for the resilience of our farmers and their hard labours, because this year's been a bumper harvest. Thanks to our fishermen who've risked their lives in the harvest of the seas. All things around us are sent from heaven above. Then thank the Lord, oh thank the Lord, for all His love. Wherever we are this month, wherever we are this harvest, let's give thanks to God for His abundance and for his love which sustains us every day of our lives.